Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Saturday Morning Cartooning, where we learn about the history of famous cartoon characters and learn to draw them together. Today we're starting Saturday morning off right with a big bowl of the magically delicious cereal Lucky Charms with Lucky the Leprechaun. When we think of Saturday morning cartoons, most of us will think of the standard 30-minute cartoons. But let's not forget the commercials, in particular cereal commercials, which were usually animated and featured a cartoon mascot. When it comes to animated cartoon mascots, the first to come to many people's minds will be Lucky, the Lucky Charms leprechaun. The cereal Lucky Charms was created in 1963 by the General Mills Corporation. This was the first cereal to have marshmallow pieces in it, known within General Mills as Marbits. Lucky Charms was created in response to General Mills having an overabundance of their signature cereal, Cheerios. To make it more kid-friendly, they decided to add cut-up bits of circus peanuts, a terrible candy from yesteryear, and add it to the healthy oat-based cereal. In order to celebrate the arrival of a new cereal to their collection, General Mills hired the Dancer Fitzgerald Sample Advertising Agency to create an animated spokes character. Though we know him simply as Lucky today, his original full name was L.C. Leprechaun, or sometimes they called him Sir Charms. General Mills did a full product rollout for Lucky Charms, including television commercials and full-color ads in newspapers and comic books. Though his look might have changed over the years, Lucky is probably one of the most recognizable cereal mascots ever created. He continued to be the mascot for several years and was replaced only briefly by the lesser-known Waldo the Wizard in the 1970s. Lucky was quickly brought back and has remained the Lucky Charms mascot to this day.
All right, let's get started with Lucky the Leprechaun. And we're probably going to be drawing the most recent version of him. He's actually a little bit of a combination of the 80s version of Lucky and the present day version of Lucky. So we're going to start with some, of course, basic shapes. So let's take a look at the reference drawing. And look at the size of his head. It is basically the size of his body. It's probably a little bit bigger than his body. So he's pretty much 50% head and then 50% body. This might be because he's running maybe slightly toward the viewer via foreshortening, but it's mostly just an exaggeration of the character. Make sure you have your paper, pencil that you like, eraser that you like, a permanent marker that you like, and then of course your colors for later on. We'll get into that as we get done with inking. So let's start with our foundational shapes. Like I said, he's mostly head, so let's draw sort of like a oval shape for the head. Now this head shape is going to encompass his face as well as part of his hat. We might need to add on a little bit more after that, but we're going to start with just sort of like an egg shape right in the corner of the page. And then his body's going out this way. And he has this great line of action. He's wearing his coat, so we're going to square off his shoulders a little bit and then give him his torso going back this way. And then we're going to stop it with a circle, an articulation point. This is where one leg is going to go out this way. And then it makes a quick bend down. And he's running. So this leg is going to go out and down. This back leg is going to go back, and then back again. So he's really extending that back leg. Again, he's running away from the kids who are trying to take his Lucky Charms. One arm is going to go out this way, and then up. We're going to cap it with a cuff, and then his fist. Remember, we're just doing basic shapes now. We're not doing detail, so don't worry about getting too detailed right off the bat. This arm, again slightly bigger because it's going to be facing the viewer, is going to go back this way and then down. And the shape for the fist right there. Okay. He's going to have a coat that's sort of going to be flying back because he's going so fast behind him. We're just doing, just putting in some lines so that we know that's where it's going to be later on. And he also has a scarf that's going back and a lot of it's being cut off by his arm and shoulder, and then it's going to go around his neck, but we don't have to get into too much detail right off the bat. Let's put in his feet, or at least where his feet are going to go, and he has sort of triangular feet. They're going to go out this way. Again, I'm just putting the shape in. I'm not doing any kind of detail work just yet. And then this leg, if we look at the reference photo, this foot is sort of parallel with the leg. He keeps extending, he's pointing his toe backwards. So instead of his foot going down, his foot's going to go out. And as what usually happens when I'm drawing on paper a character bigger than what is actually on the reference photo, his foot's going right off the edge of the paper. Happens to me a lot, and that's okay. Okay, let's put in some face lines. His face is going to go right about here. This is that vertical face line. This is going to help us line up the eyes to the mouth. And then the horizontal face line is going to help us line up the ears to the nose, like that. So his nose is pretty much just going to be a little button nose right here. In fact, I might move the vertical line just a little bit over. There we go. So it's a little bit closer to the cheek. So there's this little button nose right there. Okay. And he's got those, an extra smile line. So he's sort of got like two smile lines, and one of his eyes is going to spring out of that. So we're going to draw one eye here. Okay. And then the other one is going to touch the tip of this nose. And again, it's going to be slightly smaller and slightly narrower than the eye that's on this side, because it's turning away from the viewer. This is what's called a 3/4 side view character. Okay, we're going to put in his pupil, which is going to be blue, and then there's going to be, I'm sorry, I should have said put in his iris, and then the pupil, and then the gleam. We're going to shade in the pupil there, and shade in the pupil here. In fact, that pupil on this eye, I think, is a little too center. I think it needs to be closer to this side. There we go. Now it looks like his eyes are lined up. And you'll have to do that every once in a while, is just change your eyes. If something doesn't look right, you're going to know. So then you could just erase it and then put it to where you think it looks best. Let's sketch in his mouth, which is going to go right here. It's going to go pretty, this part of the mouth is pretty close to the nose. All right, and he's got this wide open mouth. So this is going to be his bottom lip. And I'm going to draw in his teeth first, before I do this side of his mouth. All right, and we see a little bit of his bottom teeth there, and then his tongue. Maybe a little too close to the teeth. There we go. And he has a little suggestion of a lower lip right there. All right, let's put in his ear, which is going to go right here. Just a little simple C shape with a little interior ear line. And then we're going to put in his hat, or at least the rim of his hat. That's going to help us decide where to put his hair. So the rim of his hat is going to go up this way, but then it gets interrupted by his big bushy eyebrows. He has two big ones, look like two huge orange caterpillars. One right there. And then he's going to have the rest of his hat brim here. And then he's going to have little bits of hair coming out this way. That's coming out from underneath the hat. And then that's going to be up against the other eyebrow. Okay, this is the bottom line of the eyebrow. It's also the contour of his forehead. That is going to go close to the eye. Actually, it's probably not quite touching the eye. And then coming out into a cheek. That's going to go down the rest of the head and his lower jaw. I'm leaving a little space right over here because his scarf is going to be coming up over there. But before I do the scarf, I want to finish the hat. Let's put in his hair, which is coming out from over his ears right here. Just a little squiggle right there. And we might see a little bit of his hair coming out this way, but a lot of it's being cut off by the scarf. So let's just move on to the brim of the hat, which is going to go up, then down, close to that piece of hair right here, and then creating the other side. There. Okay. And then the top of his leprechaun hat is going to go out this way. It's very curvy. Okay. There's the hat band, and then he's going to have a little four-leaf clover or a shamrock. And notice how the shamrock is going back because he's running so fast, everything is moving back with the wind. All right, let's do his scarf, which is coming over his shoulder and then around his neck, which is going to cover most of his neck. In fact, all of his neck. We really don't see his neck at all. And then we're going to start his jacket. It's going to go down this way, a little notch for the lapel, then back down that way. This arm is going to go out. And now we can put in a little bit more detail into his hand right here. And we're seeing the back of the fist, so there's not going to be that much detail. We're going to see a couple of indentations of knuckles. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a thumb. Let's do the other side. He's wearing a blue shirt underneath that we will make blue when we start inking and coloring. But here's the other side of his jacket, notched lapel, and it's going behind him, so most of his jacket's going to be going out this way. Putting in some folds of the fabric. Right. Now this hand, we're going to actually see the clenched fist. We're going to see a thumb, and then the fingers that are folded over. So here's one finger. Look how I did that little fold right there. Here's a second one, a third one, and then a fourth one that we see it completely folded over. It's not tucked behind the thumb. Lucky is one of those characters cartoon characters that have 4 fingers and a thumb, as opposed to 3 fingers and a thumb. All right, let's draw his scarf going back. He's going to have a little bit of frills at the end of it. Let's do his pants. Now remember, this whole leg is going out this way. There's a little fold of fabric right there. Little fold of fabric right there into the cuff. Now this leg, we don't see its connection to the body. So we can ink this whole line like this. A couple little folds of the fabric. This is the inside of his coat, which we don't see the other side of, but I will clean up that line a little bit. Alright, and now his feet. So he's wearing these very elf-like shoes. So they've got a little tongue right there. Then they're long, squared off point, and it comes back into a heel. And then we can put the buckle in there, which is going to be sort of like a little diamond shape, because we're looking at a square on its side. Okay, that's one foot. And then the other foot is going to go back. Remember, like we said, he's pointing his toe back. So we can just draw the heel. It goes out, and then it creates the tip, and then the buckle. And that's it. All right. I think we're ready to start inking. Go ahead and grab your inking marker. I'm going to use a regular fine point today. And let's start with his ear. I'm going to do everything, I'm going to ink everything that I need to that's above, that's actually cutting off part of the hat. So we're going to do this eyebrow. This piece of hair right here. And this eyebrow. And this is the hat. And then the hair that's coming out from underneath the hat. Let's do this little part of his brim right there. We could do this eye. That's that one smile line. And I'm putting in another line, but I'm just going to do it in pencil because I don't want to ink in that one little gleam line. I'm just going to, when I color it in, I'm going to color blue all around it and leave the white open. Let's do this nose. Okay. This one cheek. That second smile line. That's his row of teeth on the top. The other side of his mouth. And the tongue. Little suggestion of the lower lip right there. Be doing, that's that one part of the scarf that's going over his shoulder. Then I can finish the jawline. Okay. Let's finish the hat while we're at it. And then the scarf going back. All right, let's do this one lapel right here. The arm going back. And then this fist. This is the coat that's trailing back in the wind, and it's being cut off by this fist. Notice how I'm inking in some folds of the fabric. And here's the last foot with it going back. Okay, let's do this one line here. And then the frills at the end of his scarf. Okay. Let's take a little bit of time, erase our original pencil lines. Alright, let's take a look, see if I missed any inking. I think I might be okay. You probably can't tell on camera, but I can still just barely see that little gleam circle that I put in there. And I wanted to erase as much as I could with still seeing it so that I can color around it and leave it white so it'll look like a gleam later on. So let's start with, I guess, everything that's dark green. So I'm going to use a dark green marker today. And we're going to do his, well, let's start with his jacket first. Okay. This section of his coat right over here is the inside of the coat. I want to use the same color green, but I'm going to give it a second coat so that it's extra dark, so it actually looks like there's a bit of a shadow on it. So just go back over it. You might need to do it a couple of times to get it to the darkness that you want. There we go. Just a little bit of dimension. All right, let's just clean that up a little bit. Okay. And then we're also going to do this on the hat, but not the hat band. The hat band is going to be light green. Let's finish up the dark green on the hat. Okay. Actually, the same thing with the shamrock. Let's really color that in with a couple of coats. We want it to just look a little bit darker than the green of the hat. Okay, let's go back over with some light green now for the hat band. As well as the scarf. Okay. Let's do the skin tone. Skin tone as well on the fists. Okay. Let's do the orange now. That will be on his eyebrows. The hair coming out from over his ears and on that side of his head as well. You know what you can do is, like we did with the shamrock and the underside of the coat, we can add another layer of the orange right here, again giving a little bit more dimension to his eyebrows, as if there was a shadow. And you could also do that down here and close to his ear as well. Let's do his eyes. Remember, I'm going to keep that gleam in there. We're going to color everything around that white circle. Okay, and then there's that other one right there. Okay. Oh, that blue is also going to be used for his shirt. His pants are going to be an even darker green, but we're going to use a colored pencil. I'll try to get it as dark as possible. As well as his shoes. And the inside part of the buckle. The buckle itself is going to be yellow. And his socks are actually black, so we can just use our Sharpie marker. And we're going to do red for the tongue. And darker red for the inside of the mouth. There we have it. Lucky the Leprechaun.